and this is Eric, coming to you from His&Hers Hobby Headquarters. On the bench today we have from MPC in round 2, in 1/25th scale, Godzilla Planetary Defense Vehicle Willys MB Jeep. As featured in the Invasion of the Astro Monster, includes a full-color cardboard backdrop. As you can see here, the options available are a standard command Jeep, the Jeep mounting a 50 caliber machine gun, and a Jeep mounting a 105mm recoilless rifle. But as I discussed in the previous video, as much as I love Godzilla, we're going to go for a MASH look. So actually I took the weapons systems from this kit and are using it in my AMT Autocar A64B surprise kit. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to discuss the parts, the seam lines, mold lines, and we're going to try and clean everything up and make this look as wonderful as possible. It is molded in green, so if you're just getting into the hobby, you can just build it straight out of the box. That way it gives you a feel for the actual building process and you don't have to paint anything. Or you can do like we're going to do in this video. We're going to do some assembling, we're going to clean up things, clean up flash, seam lines, mold lines. We're going to do some painting and make this thing look as nice as possible, and we're going to go with a MASH theme. It does include a full color cardboard backdrop, which is actually pretty cool if you're wanting to set up a diorama of sorts and create a Jeep, one of the versions of the Jeep out of this box. Now let's get to the sprues. Here in the bag, I left in the bag are clear parts. The reason I left them in the bag is so that they stay relatively protected until we get to them, until we need them, get to them in that step. We have some chrome parts. Obviously these have been beat up a little bit as I was going through them, snatching parts of course. On this tree we have moon caps, which we can save and use on another model. We have oil pan, upper head, let me see here, a really fancy horn, your fan blade, your exhaust manifold. Looks like several types of mirrors here, several types. We got lots of chrome parts here. Looks like lights or sirens here. And these are the posts. I had a loose one. These are posts for the canopy, which we will show you for the civilian version. On this tree we have the grill. We have a few handholds here, jerry can, tools, your M1 carbine, and a Thompson submachine gun, the old Tommy gun. Have your front axle, your rear axle, fuel tank, cargo compartment. Your engine and transmission are one piece. All you have to do is put the pieces together and we'll go over that. Some of your shocks, your drive shafts, front and rear, leaf springs, dashboard, which actually is fairly well detailed. It looks really nice. Your windscreen, tailgate, firewall, seats, exhaust, cowl, hood. This is your radiator, a different grill, those wonderful steelies. These are the wheels, steering wheel, this is that canopy I was talking about. This is for your civilian version. This will obviously go in the parts bin. We can save that for later. Maybe make a trailer. We'll have a little bit of fun. How about that? This here is your stretcher. This is what inspired me to go with the MASH. Radio antenna. This is your Jeep body. Your frame. Not bad. Now we're going to try to make this look as nice as possible. We'll try and clean up some of these injector pin marks here. Those ones will be the most difficult ones to get to, but we'll be determined and try and clean those up. As you can see, there's a few injector pin marks here. Very little flash for an older kit. I was pretty amazed. Round 2 bought the molds for a lot of your AMT and MPC kits and re-released them. Some of them are new tool, some of them are the old molds, and the old molds produce flash where the molds aren't quite fitting together any longer and plastic is seeping in to those cracks. Then you wind up with flash, such as here. I don't know if you can see it. My big old finger was in the way. See this bit of flash here? That doesn't belong. That there. But we'll clean that up. It's nothing major. These are the tires. You get 5 of them. And obviously they have a little bit of rubber flash on them. They're solid rubber. Goodyear branded. They don't look bad. They're not military specific tires, but we'll make them work because this is what we have. These would look really good on a car or truck. Those are nice. Here's our Decal Sheet. Now, I did open the plastic and then turn the decals around, remove the protective backing and turn them around, but we'll leave them in the plastic here to keep them protected from dust and everything. You have 2 sets here. You can do a planetary defense version or a US Army version. Those are some really crisp decals. We'll see, once we apply some decals, we'll see if we can't try to make sure these, you can't tell they are decals. And again, now here's the instruction sheet. It's pretty well detailed. Gives you all the instructions, what to put on, your options, how to go about it. And for those of you not experienced modelers or just getting into model building, if you look here, these little numbers, those are your parts numbers. And these big circled numbers, this is one of those things I like about MPC kits, about a lot of your kits, is this big circled number is the order in which you're supposed to assemble this. So in this case, the two engine halves are your first step. You put on the oil pan, second step. Real easy to follow. But in some cases, such as here, it tells you to put the engine, attach the engine to the frame, but you need to make sure these little tabs that are on your drive shaft fit inside the differential transmission and your cases here. So you're going to want to leave a little bit of wiggle room before final cementing, which is one of the beauties of this Tamiya Extra Thin. Its liquid form allows for capillary action, makes things easy. This is the machine gun that comes out of the kit. Now I have done a lot of work to make it better than what it was out of the kit, but this is going on that auto car. But enough about that. Let's get to building our Jeep. Okay, so in this video we covered a lot of the assembly of the chassis here, which is a major sub-assembly, so we're going to set it aside. We've completed the engine, and because we're going for that extra little detail, I've added plug wires to it. These here are clear stretchy wire that you use for making necklaces. I picked these up in the arts and crafts section of Walmart, and they work really well as plug wires. I've got the seats clipped down to this point. I'll clean them up on the tree, get rid of all these little extra burrs and flash, round off the corners that are supposed to be rounded off. My stretcher is down to these major components, and I will get those assembled later. The main body I wanted to discuss real quick. I've got the fuel tank in and the storage compartment in. Now what I have to do, which I already started on off camera, but I wanted to show you and explain what I'm doing, is all of this stuff here. This here's called flash. This shouldn't exist. But in the mold process, when the two mold pieces come together and the plastic is injected, sometimes that mold piece is not firmly together the way it should be, and plastic seeps into the gap and it leaves this flash. So I'm going to spend a while cleaning this up, and I'm keeping a running tab of how long it's taken me to do each and every individual thing. Every picture I have seen so far of the Jeeps used in MASH didn't have the recovery or entrenching tools on the side. So if I can't find a single reference photo with the recovery tools, I will set them aside and use them in another kit somewhere. And then what I'll do is I'll sand these down just a little bit, do some filling with my putty, smooth that over so I have a smooth, clean body here, and then I will add something, a little extra detail or something, using like my metal foil here, and create the bracket points where the tool should be clasped to the vehicle body. But otherwise, this is where we're at. We're cleaning this up. When we come back in next week's video, everything should be cleaned up, cleared up. All our actual parts that we will be using, like we won't be using these, the two guns, and we may not be using the entrenching tools, and I'm pretty positive we're not using the radio or the antenna. All those parts we won't be using will be aside in our box and will go into our parts bin. Everything else that we will be using will be cleaned up. All the flash and seam lines and mold lines will be cleaned up. And I'll have a running tab of how long it's taken me to do each individual step. In this case, steps 2 and 3, putting the chassis together here, I have a running tab, and it's taken me 6 hours just to get to this point. It's just me personally, but I was making sure there was no seams, no mold lines, trying to make sure that was cleaned up, and the edges on the chassis were super sharply defined. They were really boxy and really sharp out of the molds, and we don't want that because, well, an actual chassis isn't sharp. It's kind of rounded, and that's what we wanted to create with this. So this took me 6 hours, and this is just personally. The engine itself, including getting the wires on, took me an hour and a half. As you can see, for the most part, once we put primer on, we'll be able to see where there might still be a gap or a seam. You can barely see it right here, but the point is when we're done, you shouldn't see a seam, because an actual transmission doesn't have a seam here. The actual engine block doesn't have a seam. So we're going to try and make sure all of this is cleaned up, primered, and ready for paint in the next video. So remember to follow us over on Facebook, like, subscribe, share this video. If you have any extra input, comment. We will do our best to answer any questions we can. Until then, this is Eric with His and Hers Hobby Headquarters. Happy modeling!